I'm Olivia, the Fundraising Assistant at Vision Foundation. Today I'll be chatting with Vision Foundation Centenary Appeal Board member and fundraising superstar David Gold. David took on the RideLondon cycling event in May this year, raising an incredible £20,000 to support our work, transforming the lives of people living with and facing sight loss. Over to you, David.
I'm David Gold, and I'm on the Centenary Development Committee for Vision Foundation.
It's really nice to have you, David, and you competed in RideLondon 22, didn't you? How did you find it?
The ride was on a tandem, and that was with Naki, who's also on the development committee with me, and we found it a lot of fun. Actually, the weather was great, and it was really super. The atmosphere was great. There was 21,000 riders. We definitely had the oldest bike. Everybody else's bike was brand new and seemed to weigh about as much as a £10 note, but ours was very old and very heavy. But it was a lot of fun, lots of cheering, great atmosphere on the day. So yeah, we found it really good actually.
Oh, that's great to hear. And what made you want to ride for the Vision Foundation?
Well, it's kind of backed up really into why I was on this committee for a couple of years, really, which is that my maternal grandparents were pretty wonderful people who had to stand in and take care of my sister and myself for a variety of reasons. They weren't wealthy people, and yet they had this incredible sense of generosity. My grandfather lost his sight sometime in his 50s, and yet still continued to try and work. But one day he was coming into a railway station. It was before the doors were unlocked by a guard, and he thought he was in Waterloo Station, and he opened the door and fell out of the train and got pretty badly smashed up by it, as you might imagine. It's quite a long way to fall. And my grandmother also started to lose her sight as well. And they both lived in London. And so the Vision Foundation was definitely the right place for me to be able to do something for them and in their name. And having been involved on the fundraising for a couple of years, when offered the places for RideLondon, I thought it'd be a nice way to finish it off. And indeed, it was a particularly lovely way to finish off. And we raised more money than I originally imagined. So it was good.
Yeah, it seems like your grandfather and your grandparents were great people, and thank you so much for raising so much money. It's really going to a good cause, so we're very grateful to you. Thank you. So what was the reason you decided to ride tandem?
Well, it was really a kind of on the spur of the moment. I've been riding every day of my life, really, so I know I can ride a bike, and then I just thought, well, I'd heard that Vision Foundation had been involved in tandem rides with blind and partially sighted people. And I talked to Naki about the fact that, he had a tandem. And so it wasn't a long decision-making process. It was a real on the spur of the moment. Riding a tandem is way more difficult than I imagined for a number of different reasons, not least because I had never realized, but a tandem is actually fundamentally designed for the big guy to sit at the front and the little guy to sit at the back. I am indeed the little guy, and Naki is very definitely the big guy, but we kind of had to reverse that, which made it way more complicated. And it meant that Naki's poor back was bent over for the entire race because his handlebars were on my saddle. And so there were lots of things that were quite challenging, but we did it. We didn't come off. It was enormous fun, and in fact we did a good time of excluding the stops 4 hours and including stops 4 hours and 20 minutes. So we were super happy with that. It was a really good result.
Yeah, you did amazingly well. And yeah, tandem bikes, they look a lot easier than I guess they are, and you're dealing with the weight of the bike as well.
Yeah. And also, I'm, obviously Naki has no sight, so explaining what was going on, a kind of a dialogue constantly that was really important. When to slow down, when to speed up, when to stop, how to take corners. You're in constant conversation. Fascinating, a learning exercise for me in constant communication. But yeah, in many ways, more challenging than one might imagine. I think my original idea of it was that I'd sit there and not do anything, and Naki being young and tall and fit and everything would do all the work, but it doesn't work like that, really.
No, it's teamwork, isn't it?
Yeah, real
But,
teamwork.
yeah, but yeah, you did a really good job, really good time, and it looked like a lot of fun. Sylvia
It
and I
was.
were cheering you guys on, and we had
That's
a lot of
right.
fun as well.
Nice.
Um, so in terms of the fundraising experience, so
Yeah.
leading up to the event and getting all your supporters, your family and friends to help you raise the money, how did you find that?
Well, that was an extraordinary experience because I've done different types of fundraising, been on other development committees. I'd never done a sponsored anything really, I don't think. And so it was something that I wasn't quite sure how to go about, but we wrote a good and honest text for the page, for the fundraising page. And then I wrote individually. I decided not to do it en masse to lots of different people that I've known for many years. And some I hadn't known for many years actually, as did Matt, by the way, who was our support. Matt was supporting Naki and myself and my neighbour here. He did a great job of that. And Naki got a bit of sponsorship as well. But I think the bulk of it probably came from people that I wrote to. And I was just bowled over by people's generosity. And in fact, there's still money coming in, bizarrely, over a month afterwards. We're going to have to close it down at some stage. But the initial goal of maybe we could raise £10,000, we've done 20, including gift aid, which is really good. But it was people's generosity that was interesting. And I think actually it reminded you how important all the things that we know about relationship and connection. It's just another aspect of that, short-term relationships and long-term. I know that I've bored the Vision Foundation with one of my favourite stories, but I was in a taxi going back home a few weeks before the ride, and I was just telling the taxi driver about the ride, and he stopped outside my place here, and he turned around to me and said, "I really enjoyed talking to you and hearing about the Vision Foundation. Can I give you £5 towards your bike ride?" I mean, somebody that I'll never meet again, somebody that I've talked to for 10 minutes. I thought that was incredible. I was astounded and delighted by people's generosity. So in many ways, I think, although fundraising kind of sounds like one of those things where you're going to have to go out and ask your friends, family for money, I kind of felt it was a much nicer exercise than that, and it felt like kind of a worthwhile experience for me and them. Everyone enjoyed it. We all got a lot out of it. So I'd certainly recommend doing that fundraising. I have to say it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, that sounds great. And the taxi driver as well. It's very nice to have, touched someone's life. Obviously, he really enjoyed hearing about what he had to say. So,
Well, there's something about telling a great story sometimes, isn't there? But
yeah,
people want that connection, and you can sit in a taxi, or you can go to the coffee queue, and you cannot talk to anyone, or you can talk to them, and if you talk to them, which is what I always try and do, then there's always a great result. And this was a kind of an added benefit because he wasn't the only one. There were other random strangers that gave me cash to put towards this bike ride. So it was a rather lovely process, actually.
yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the things I like about being the fundraising assistant. There's lots of different ways you can reach out to people and build
Yeah,
connections. And yeah, I think in a world of social media and everything's digital, it's nice to be able to have genuine conversations with people
yeah,
and
definitely.
reach them.
Everyone does. That's what we all live for. And
Yeah.
so this was a great opportunity to do that with 100 different people. So that was really nice.
Would you recommend the bike ride to others? And if so, why?
Oh God, don't know about that. I mean, I think it's on a one-by-one basis. If you like bike riding, it's nicely organised, loads of toilets, which is good. Yeah, it was nicely done. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, for me, it was great. But would I recommend it? I think you need to know that you can cycle. that distance really. But yeah, it's quite straightforward. You know, your adrenaline gets going, so it's quite nice. So yeah, if you like cycling, it's a nice way to do it. So yeah, I would recommend it.
Yeah, I think cycling is an acquired taste. I personally, I'm not the best on a bike, but if I did have the skill, then I think I would definitely take the opportunity to compete.
Well, you've got a year to get round to it then, so I suggest you start doing it now.
That's true. That is very true. There's lots of other challenge events. We were talking about Sylvia. Uh, Sylvia wanted to do the Vitality Big Half, I think. Is that
All
right?
right.
No. Yeah, cycling is not for everyone, but I'm really glad
Okay.
to hear that you enjoyed it.
Good.
And
Yeah, we did.
so is there anything else you'd like
No,
to
it was
add?
a lovely experience. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I did it for a variety of reasons, not least, obviously, great to raise it for a cause that was super important to me. But yeah, very enjoyable as well. So yeah, winners all round, really.
Thank you so much, David.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, pleasure. Jolly good.
Well, what an incredible story. We are so grateful to David, not only for his amazing fundraising efforts, but for his passion and commitment to supporting our work. If you're feeling inspired and ready to take on a challenge event for Vision Foundation, please do get in touch. We'd love to welcome you to Team Vision.